reception will be in this. This is off. What is up, everybody? Let me get this thing. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to level this thing out here because it's not level. And I want you guys to look at me. There you go. Hey, what's up? Guys, let me know if you can hear me. I got a lav mic on, plus I have the internet. I want to make sure the net, the Wi-Fi is pretty good over here. So let me know if you can hear me pretty good. Perfect, awesome, what's up? So guys, I thought I'd do a live today. I'm gonna do some filming today, redo some shots. So I'm like, why not just do this in the gym? And if you guys got some questions with some like training technique and stuff, we can go over it. Some things I won't be able to necessarily do is well, actually, I'm gonna do it. That's all right, whatever, we'll figure it out. Perfect. Any advice getting back training after shoulder surgery? Take your time. Shoulder surgery, take your time, go through your physiotherapy, like go through it all. Do not try and rush yourself back. Rest, make sure you like, one big thing too is like nutrition. When it comes to recovery from like post-surgery, nutrition is key. So make sure you're getting your protein, your carbs, and your fats. That's gonna help with your recovery, healing, and all that good stuff. So this is some weights. Yeah, I did some earlier. Have you met Cole Robinson in Canada? I don't know. I may have, maybe. Hi, asking for a substitution for chicken breast. What other part of the chicken could I use for protein, also with taste? Do like, honestly, like chicken breast, chicken thigh, chicken legs. Obviously, the other parts of the chicken are maybe a little more fattier. But like, you know, like when I get chicken thighs, I love chicken thighs. I literally will I'll get the chicken thighs and I'll cut off the fat. And then you're getting a pretty good piece of meat. So I would just, do that. Any part of the chicken's fine. Just watch the fat on it. All right. We got a question here. I, for the life of me, cannot get my chest to engage on flat bench. Any tips that maybe I haven't heard? Okay, so let's try some of that. So we're talking about like, I'm assuming it's like any bench, right? So we're talking about flat bench. Now, for the most part, when people are doing like flat bench, a lot of things can happen. If you can engage your lats, you can engage your lats pretty well. You can use your shoulders as well too, right? So when we think about like, you think of like the pushing action, like when we push, we can literally do this and push the weight. So a lot of times when we're pushing, we can get a lot of this movement, which means a lot of the chest can almost be missed, and you can almost like feel like you're doing chest, but then you're not. So let's just get into a bench. I'm gonna go into, let's go over here. Let's go right here to this guy right here. I'll turn this thing around so it's easier to see. And we'll make it actually flat, just to keep it consistent. Okay, so can we see here? Now guys, if you gotta, I'm gonna try and do some of these at once. So if you got questions and stuff, right now I'm at this bench question. So, okay, so I'm gonna make it easy for you guys to see. I did train today, so I basically have exactly what I had on earlier from training. So hopefully this makes it easier. Okay, so when we're benching, a lot of times, like a couple things, I'm gonna already say like my feet are already on the floor, but when we're pressing, a couple things you can do, right? I like almost like pretending I'm trying to rip the bar, right? So when I'm off, like I'm almost ripping the bar, like I'm trying to bend it. And when I'm down, actually let's do this. Let's make it easier for you guys to see. Check it out. There you go. All right. So if you guys can watch from here, hopefully you guys see this. I want to like rip the bar a bit. Right? So when we're doing this, I'm ripping the bar. I'm trying to bend it this way. So on the way down, doing this is going to help me really feel my chest. Now another thing too, what I like doing is, if you feel the weight coming from here on your palm, like you're going to wrap your hands for sure. But when I'm doing this, and I'll show you a little more too, my elbows, and I'll make it look, I'd like you guys to see this way. My elbows are doing a lot of this lifting, right? So if you look at my hands right now, just from here, right? And I'll show you my chest. If I just from pressing from here, right? You can see my chest, how it moves, right? That little, like I try, and I do this all the time. The pressing is basically like my hand, my elbow is what's traveling to basically do this, right? When we're pressing, it's your chest muscles that are pulling your humerus bone like this, right? And then our forearm and our hand allows us to get this angle so it keeps our elbow on our knee so we can still do that adduction movement with tension, right? So we're just literally doing this. So when you're pressing, a couple things you can do when you're pressing, think about like, take the palm of your hand here, like the meaty part, right? That's where the bar is gonna be anyway. And then I'm gonna show you my chest. I want you to just like tap it, like push it with your elbow. I'm not pushing with my hand. I'm pushing with my elbow. I'm feeling like my elbow's moving, right? My elbow's trying to push through the bar. And when I do that, that's what I'm feeling my chest. So I can feel like the tiny little movement on my hand, that tiny bit of pressure on my hand is going right to my chest, right? So I do that when I'm pressing. So as soon as I touch the weight, the tension that goes, or the pressure that goes on my hand here is automatically pushing through here, which is automatically causing tension through here. So when you're pressing, just think about having tension already from like this, like almost like if you're a Smith machine is really good for this, to do this, because you can practice this. Smith machine, literally just take your hands here and chest is going to stay up, and think about just pressing slightly from here. Like feel the weight pressing up and then squeeze the top. And then on the way down, feel that tension, like that weight coming through your elbow, right? My elbow is what's pushing the weight, right? Not my hand, because sometimes we think too much of the hands and we're like too much, we're gripping here and we're trying to press too much and we don't really feel the chest moving because we're thinking about pressing up too much. But thinking about, again, my feet are on the ground like they should, a little bit under my hips. They're at least stacked underneath my feet, my knees. And then my chest is staying up naturally. Now when I'm here, yeah, my core is engaged too, but my chest is staying up, so I'm gonna get a lot more range of motion on the way down. And then on the way down, again, I'm just feeling that my elbow underneath and stretching and then pushing up. Like take your time with it. Like literally just try to take your time with movements. Don't try and like rush through it, and I think the biggest thing is like just slow it right down. Feel like just like when I tap on my hand like this, literally, that's how much pressure it takes for me to activate my chest. I do little tiny things like that. Like I'm a geek when it comes to the gym. I'm always trying to find ways that how can I feel this muscle group with doing the slightest movement, right? I can be able to activate. If I can do this slight with no pressure, then I can definitely do that with a ton of pressure. If that makes any sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Just started watching the videos. Appreciate you. Guys, I got to go all at the bottom, so ask me questions again. I'll work my way up, but already getting 1 gram per body weight protein meal, eggs, whatever. Cool. Any nutrition suggestions for someone who wakes up earlier for work around 2 in the morning? Mike, what time do you go to bed? That's the biggest thing, right? If you're up at 2 in the morning and you don't go to bed until 9 at night, let me know what it looks like. So I'm going to assume that if you're up in the morning, let's just say that you are finished work early. If you have a long day, I would say just get a little bit of calories in you. Get at least a little bit of protein. You can easily do like fruit and like a protein shake just to kind of keep you over. And then when you're actually like your first real meal, it could be probably like later in the day. I would say like not later in the day, but later in the morning. So if anything, I would have something like small at least. just to kind of keep you moving. And then, as you go, like, increase the size of the meals, because again, you don't want to eat a bunch of calories, or like, no, you don't want to start your day so early. Then if you don't have to go to bed until like late at night, and you're sitting like, I just basically ate all my calories by like, I don't know, 3 in the afternoon, you got a ton of time waiting. So I would say just have little smaller meals to keep yourself going in the morning, and then, increase them as you go. If that makes sense. Just curious if you or anyone gets crazy cramps when doing seated calf raises. I can't put under 20 pounds. So a couple things to think about if you're getting a lot of like a lot of cramps, just doing calves or anything. I'm in jiu-jitsu right now, and when I have my feet underneath me, like sitting in like almost like, a kneeling position, the bottom of my feet cramp a little bit. Easy, like when you're cramping, most of the time it's going to be some kind of electrolyte imbalance. So let's make sure that you're, getting like you're putting some sodium into your food. You don't have to like overly salt your food, but make sure that you're getting some sodium in your food. When you're training, at least have some, have electrolytes while you train, right? It's really good to do when you're training, especially if you're in a warmer climate, you're sweating a lot. If you're a salty sweater like myself, you'll need to replenish that salt. So it's not just about just hydrating, it's about hydrating as well as keeping electrolyte balance, up there. So I'm plugging in right now, guys. Our AminoFast is basically a electrolyte drink, which is great. So it has like pink Himalayan sea salt, and then coconut water powder, taurine and whatnot, and it helps with like, with hydration and your electrolytes. And that keeps you from like cramping. So make sure you're hydrating and like at least getting some sodium in your day-to-day. What do you got here? How do you balance the amount of weight and form to maximize effectiveness? Amazing questions. Does my form need to be absolutely perfect? So really good thing to think about, right? When we're training, you want your form to come first, right? Think about this. No matter how many sets that you do, you're thinking about every set being quality, every rep being quality, because every rep and set that has quality is more muscle hypertrophy to the targeted muscle. So if I'm training chest, right, and I want my chest to get everything from the workout, I want to, find a load that's going to keep me, going to give me good form, right? When we talk about like tension, we can create tension in a couple ways. Tension is going to create in a way by like just overall weight and load. Load itself is going to create tension, right? So, and you'll obviously build muscle from causing tension. So if I grab like an extremely heavy weight, and let's say like tension has like a meter. If I grab like 90% of my 1 rep max and do a rep of that, the tension is extremely high. And that muscle is, there's so much muscle accruement just for that one weight. Now I can take say like 60% of that weight or that load, and I can cause tension in terms of lengthening the set or the duration of the set. That's going to increase the tension as we go until a point where it gets just as heavy as it would be if you're doing like a 90% of 1 rep max, right? And that's how you get there. So the best way to get there is creating tension is by getting a load that you can continue to elongate that set with good form, so you're always isolating the muscle you're trying to use. Because again, form being perfect is like one thing. Like perfect form, no one's gonna have perfect form. But if you strive to have really, really good form, you can almost guarantee that muscle is gonna be isolated the entire time. You're gonna get the most amount of muscle accruement in that time. Again, too, when it comes to just progressive overload or tracking your progress, you wanna track your progress based on, say like your RPE or RIR based on good form. Because if I'm like, say I'm benching and, I'm at the, all my sets for now are like, they're like this, we're doing like 1,001, 1,002, and we're here, and we're doing good form, and then all of a sudden, let's say at the end of our set, we're kind of like this, and we're just trying to, and our backs up, we're doing whatever, and then we get it up, and we get like, say we get like 3 more reps, what are we, judging the progressive overload on? The amount of reps that we did that were good, or the amount of reps we did that are bad? And when it comes to the amount of reps that we did that are bad, we're recruiting more muscles that don't need to be in the picture, and then you have like a false sense of like progress. So make sure you're making progress based on good form. Does it have to be perfect? No, no one's got a perfect form. I don't even think Tiger Woods has a perfect swing. He's got a damn good swing. He's amazing. Every professional athlete has next to almost perfect, but it's almost perfect. No one is perfect, but striving for perfection in that way is going to bring you to your goals a lot better, more efficiently, if that makes any sense. Should you calculate? Should I calculate protein for the day, 1 gram protein from only the protein sources, or can it be from foods like peanuts? For me, when it comes to calculating my overall protein intake, I am gonna judge. I'm gonna measure my protein based on like the obvious protein sources. Like when it comes to I like asparagus, I like broccoli, I like almond butter. They all have protein in them. I like milk. You know what I mean? So those all have protein in them, but I'm going to track my protein from the obvious protein sources, and then those other sources that come from like carbs or fats, those are like extra bonus for me, right? So I'm not going to necessarily track my fats from like foods most of the time, but from my protein. But like if I'm getting my fats in from, if I need 20-30% of my calories are coming from fats, I'm going to primarily count those coming from say like, essential fatty acids, nuts, oils. And again, when it comes to like, say like my protein, if I'm having something like salmon, I'm definitely gonna like, when I punch that into like, say like my fitness pal, it's gonna give me a lot of fats from that because salmon has a lot of really, really good fats in it, omegas. But from the, just from the grand scheme of things, I would say like track all your sources, your macronutrients from the sources primarily. And if you get some, some like layover or like some like, layover, whatever. You know what I'm saying? If you get that, then it's extra, right? Just to make things easier. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Remember again, your body isn't really working like so specific like that. It's gonna extract the molecules from whatever you give it. You just worry about doing, you're just doing the easy part for your body. You're just taking the food, putting it in your mouth, and then you're letting your body do the rest. So, yeah. John, how much do you weigh now? I weigh about 114 right now. So I've been doing jiu-jitsu for the last week now. I've done 4 classes. And anyone who's done jiu-jitsu knows that cardio is crazy. And you guys know I've been working on my cardio since I've been, doing the collab with Phil. And my cardio has increased, so I can see the difference in my physique in terms of conditioning from just that type of training and cardio. So in kilos, shoot, I don't know. I would say 90 kilos. It's 2.2. So if I'm 114, 115 divided by 2.2, and you'll give me my weight in kilos. So I can't do it off my head right now. Always wanted to ask, do you include the number you see on the machine when it starts? Wait or no? What? Hold on a sec. I always wanted to ask, do you include the number you see on the machine? Yes. Yes and no. I say yes and no because for my client, I do. For myself, when I'm looking at easy, for this for instance, right? I'm gonna track my weight based on the amount of weight that I put on the bar. So this bar is with the cables here, the Smith machine. It's a really good Smith machine. It's pretty heavy still, but this bar is 25 pounds. So if I'm gonna track my weight, you can easily, there's nothing wrong with tracking, adding the 25 instead of it being 45, right? You just basically subtract 20 pounds, or you just basically add up the weight that's on the actual, just your plates. Whatever makes the most sense for you, and that keeps you consistent and honest is my best advice. T raises for mid traps, shrugs, Y raises. Okay, cool. Somebody answered the question. Appreciate it. Hey, Johnny, advice on deficit. TD 2.8 Ks. I'm thinking that's calories. Looking to get to 155 in 90 days. Currently weigh 179. Have abs around 160. So you want 90 days, your total daily 200, you're at 2.8, I'm saying calories, probably saying 2,000 calories. If you're trying to get to, in 90 days, put it this way, a pound of fat is 3,500 calories. For you to lose, what is that, 150, you want to get down to 155? Here's one thing I would say. Number one, don't think just like I want to get down to a certain specific weight. I would say estimate your body fat percentage. Let's just say that you're saying that you probably get abs around like 160. So I would say like 15%. Let's say 15% arbitrary number is going to show abs. I'm 14% right now. I'm probably a little less than that just because of the cardio and whatnot. But at 14% body fat, 40-50% body fat, I show abs. So I would say that right now, let's just say that you're 10%. You need to lose 10% of your body weight, right? 10% of 179 is going to be 17 pounds. 17 pounds from 179 to 180 is 17. So it's going to be around 160. So I would say that 17 pounds, if easily you can do a pound of fat a week. That would be like give yourself 90 days. Yeah, I would say give yourself a little bit more, but you can definitely do it in 90 days for sure. I would say like 500 calories. You can definitely probably do a little bit more than 500 calories easily. I would say making sure take some of that from your nutrition and then the rest from like cardio. So like if you want to like blast that 90 days, I would say really quick, man, do an hour cardio a day at like very zone 2, 150 watts. It's gonna be around like 540-ish calories, like wattage calories a day. And then you add a deficit from your food, and that's gonna be 2 pounds a week if you do 500 from food, 500 from training or from cardio. And then like I don't really track my training calories, but like you can almost guarantee if you had a good training session, you're gonna burn between 150 to 200 calories from training. So I would say try that, and I can definitely do that in about 90 days for sure. Thanks, brother. Absolutely, I can not engage my lats, lower lats, and my please help. Okay, lat engagement, easy guys, check it out. Here, I'll show you this one, easy one. I have a cramp in my stomach right now, and it's because I haven't eaten as much as I want today. Here's a really easy way to get your lats to work. Okay, I've given you guys a couple different cues. And guys, bear with me. I can't get everyone's questions because I can't really see. Next time maybe I'll get a moderator or whatever, but either way. So if you got an easy little, like a band like this, right? Pop it down like this, right? Put your hands in there, right? This. I want you to point your hands down and then pull back, right? And I'll show you what it looks like from the back. Right, so you can see this. There you go. So I'm going to put my hands in the band, right? And I'm gonna push my hands down and I'm gonna pull back, right? All I'm doing is that. And from the side, it look like this, right? I'm going like this. I'm pushing my fingers to the ground, trying to reach and touch the ground, and then I'm pulling this back to my side. And I keep my chest up. You can see my lats are engaged. Do that, like just try to do this, and you'll feel your lats engaging like that. Another way you can do too is again, you could do both ways. Take your hands like this, your arms like this, and then try and touch the floor with your elbows. Literally just do this, right? If you watch me try and touch the floor with my elbows, you can see my lats are engaged, right? Or I can do the other way is take my hands like this and just try and touch the floor and keep my chest up, and then my lats are engaged. So like there was a couple things you can do to help, like, just to get your lats engaged, and just trying to feel it activate, and then you can just play around with it a little bit. Try that. Doing things like that consistently so you can feel the muscle and then trying to work it after, it makes it a lot easier to, engage down the road. So, and it takes practice, guys. Like I was, me and Antoine, we did a podcast a bit ago, I don't know if you guys saw it, but we were talking about like bodybuilders, professional bodybuilders and whatnot. And he's like, professional bodybuilders are professionals at doing repetitions, and we are. So for fun, I was just like, how long have we been training for? How many times have we made, have you rep something out? And it came down to like, put it this way, I've been training in the gym since 11 years old. I've probably been in the gym consistently 5 days a week. Like let's say minimum 5 days a week for the entire time, right? You can definitely say that I've done 100 reps probably in a day. Over the course of the time that I've been in the gym until now, I think we calculated, I've done 1.5 million reps, right? I've done this a lot. So like when we're talking about training and I don't feel my lats and it's frustrating, it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be frustrating at first for sure, but you have to do it over and over. You have to repetition. You have to keep repping it out, and work on a little tiny cues that, that I give that maybe the cues that I give, they resonate with you more than others, or maybe Dr. Mike or Mike Van Wyck or Jeff Nippert or whoever else out there, Eric Janicki, a lot of those guys, maybe those cues help you out. Find the influencer, find the fitness, creator like myself or coach like myself that has a cue that you can, that resonates with you, and then practice that thing over and over and over again, right? This stuff is practice. Like, we're not just here because, we decided one day I'm going to work out and we just tapped into it. Yes, genetics and, athletic ability does have have a say in terms of like how fast you pick something up, but everybody and their mother can feel their muscle if and only if we continue to practice those things, and practice just reps, just getting reps in. So try not to get frustrated. I know it's easy to say, but try not to get so frustrated. Think about like, every rep's going to bring you closer and closer to what you're trying to achieve, right? I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it, Philippe. Got it. Thanks, Jen. No problem. I am having difficulty of proper form on dumbbell bench press. Suggestions. Okay, so let's try. And I got a video on this, but we're here, so let's make it work. Let's go. So we're looking at like, sorry guys, I'm gonna make this higher so we can see. I think a lot of the times when, number one, when it comes to, exercises, and not my rule, but like there's a regression and a progression. And when it comes to like, exercise and like chest, the hardest movements to do are when you're doing dumbbells. So like for me, the progression would be, a plank for someone who can't do a push-up. And then you're gonna go and move to a push-up. You can now do a push-up, you can control your body, you can push your own body weight. And then we get into like a machine, whether it's like a chest press machine or a Smith machine, and then we get into a barbell, and then we move into a dumbbell. Because again, dumbbell, lateral, and we have to work so many, you gotta work both sides, where obviously barbell, we're in one, machine, we're in one, we're in an easy place. But when it comes to dumbbells, I think that's like your last progression, because it's gonna take the most amount of, I would say, muscle mind connection, because we have two different, things to worry about. So let's just say incline. Let's go incline. Right here, I'm gonna grab these 40s. All right. So let me know if this is all right. All right. So a couple of things. Same thing again before when I was talking about like when you're in the bench press or in the Smith machine, that weight you feel here, again, when we're pressing here, like everybody do, like literally do it. Do me a favor. And, I'm gonna go here first real quick. Right, I'm gonna pull this thing down. There we go. All right, so I got this on here, right? Now, when I'm, like, easy thing for you guys to do, get a Smith machine, like, whatever your gym, and start with your hands like, just like a push-up. You can even go on the ground and do a push-up, but it's a little easier here, right? I'm gonna get them like my toes. I'm basically gonna put it here so you guys can see a little better. There you go. All right, so if you see me right now, I'm gonna lean on this, right? I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna lean on the weight. I'm gonna lean here. I'm gonna put my hands right here. I'll put them out a little bit further so it feels like more like a bench, not so close, right? From here, I wanna posture up and I wanna start just pushing myself away slowly. And I wanna push myself, I'm really using like this part of my hand here. Like I'm just, this part again, that meaty part of my hand, I wanna connect with my chest right away. So from here, my chest being up, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm just gonna like slowly like push, like a plank. I'm just gonna push and just feel, I wanna feel my chest. If I gotta push slow, that's fine, right? And then on the way down, I'm gonna ride it down, I'm gonna feel my elbows, basically the weight going through my elbows, and just slowly just doing that. Like just sit in that pocket, just sit here and just feel yourself pushing. Doing little things like that can help you just feel the muscle. It doesn't mean like when you're trying to get your form right, it doesn't mean you have to get under the bench or the bar and just start repping things out. Maybe you have to feel it in a certain range to be able to really connect with the muscle. So when I'm doing, bench, dumbbell press, right away, when I get the weight back, right? If I get the weight back and I'm here, right? I'm gonna open my hands up a little bit, like tiny, like a little angle. I'm not gonna be so far this way. I'm gonna have it right here, and I'm literally gonna sit and hold it here, right? And just kind of like wait it, and have my elbows pushing here until the weight, till I feel it. If I have to sit here and just kind of do this, right? And just slowly do it, and get a weight that you can control, where you can just move slightly here. Again, you want to do this almost like right in that stretch and the length and contraction, because here, now we can kind of like, we can really feel the muscle in its length and position at its deepest, where it has to do the full, adduction on the way up. Then on the way down, go slow, right? And what I like to pretend is, I like to pretend that I'm like balancing this on that palm like a weight. Like if I was a waitress, whatever, waiter, who cares? If I had like a plate on my hand, I'm trying to balance it on my elbow, I'm feeling my chest really working. So if I have to just do that, right? Another thing too is making sure that our shoulders are back and away from our ears. Naturally, right here, what I'm thinking about in terms of like connection on my back, I'm thinking like if there's a spike going through my chest, it's going straight through. I'm thinking like the middle of my traps or my scapula. That's what I'm trying to do when it comes to opening my chest up and from here. So just doing this, like in this position here, and then having a weight, having a load here, right? When I'm back, you already set yourself back. Let's say you kick the weights back, right, to start. Don't do anything yet. Get yourself in position first, and then adjust yourself. There you go. Open up a bit and sit here. Then just take your time with the weight and open it and feel, right? I can promise you a lot of the times when people are trying to feel the weight, they're not doing this. They're probably just doing, they're probably doing a set and they're like, I can't feel my chest for some reason, right? I like to always make that analogy. Pretend somebody's walking by you really quick, right? You're outside and someone just zips by you and is like, hey, what's up, man? And you're like, what the heck? And you look and you probably see like, you might remember what the person was wearing, maybe the color of the hair, I don't know, but you're not remembering that much. But the same person comes by you, hey, what's going on? And sits there and chats with you for about a minute, right? You're probably gonna remember the person's name maybe, but you're gonna remember a lot of things in that minute. So if you take that analogy like your muscles, right? Your muscle and your brain having this nice long conversation and it taking time. Like if you have to over exaggerate your negative just to start, just so you can feel the muscle, then do so, right? If you think about it, like for the most part, any movement that we do, or like any sport, or anything, like whether you're trying to learn a new, music. I'm a musician, so when it comes to like piano, or even when it comes to like a new job, you start off very, very slow, depending on how like crazy the environment is. But regardless, you start off very slow before you can kind of really get a hang of things, and things start to speed up as you go. So like if someone's gonna say like, you know, a regular like negative would be like, hey, say a 2 second negative, 1 second positive. Say it was like a 2010. So 1001, 1002 push, 1001, 1002 push. That might work for the person who's been working out a lot, but for you, you might have to start doing it slower. You might have to get on a little bit less weight, and maybe like maybe it's a 4 seconds, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, and maybe you do like a 2 seconds up, 1, 2, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, stretch, 1, 2. So you might have to do that just so you can start feeling the exercise that much more. And then as you start to feel the muscle, then you can start speeding the rep up, right? But you still always want to keep that nice little, you know, a long negative, not long, but like, you know, a good controlled negative into the length and contraction. I just talked for an hour there, my bad, guys. I'm going to the bottom again. So if there's any question you want me to hit again, race to the bottom, I'm going to the bottom. It's been 3 months now. I see your videos and never stop working out 7 days a week. I work legs, chest, biceps, and shoulders. Should take a break, a day or two. Yeah, I should, for sure. I would say, you know, you can, I think the easiest one, I really liked, this is for me, you know, training 3 days on, training 1 day off. 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off, right? You do 2 days on, 1 day off. But you definitely want to put in a break there to give yourself a little bit more, you know, again, recovery is massive. You want to continue to grow and get better, you know, recover. Now you can always do like 6 days on, 1 day off, right? You can always do that until, you know, your body is like, you know, start screaming at us, take a little more time off, but that's pretty much easy. Answer your question here. Thank you. Never lose your nerve. Appreciate it, man. I started flaring my elbows out on barbell press. Feel it much more in my chest and not in my delts. What are your thoughts on this Leviathan? So I've seen Mike do a video talking about this. And I've also done a lot of videos on telling people not to flare your elbows. There's a reason why I say not to flare your elbows. Flaring your elbows, for the most part, when people are pressing, flaring also means shoulder elevation, right? You can flare, if I can keep my, I'll put it this way, watch this. If I can flare my elbows because that's basically what a front relax is. A front relax is flaring my elbows. And I can continue to flare my elbows like this and be perfectly fine. But you can see as my elbows get higher, right? As my elbows get higher, my shoulder still stays down. There's a big difference between flaring your elbows like this and flaring your elbows like this, right? And for me, it's really easy to feel. Right now, my left shoulder is a little, you know, there's a little impingement there from snowboarding and all the other shit. But I can definitely feel, like right now, when my shoulder, like guys, right now I'm flexing my lats, like I'm here. If I do this, I don't feel, my shoulders feel pretty good. My left shoulder still feels good. If I do this, that starts to hurt, right? So there's a difference between flaring your shoulders and elevating your traps as well too. Flaring your shoulders is fine as long as we keep our lats engaged because that keeps the shoulder down. If you watch me flaring, that's fine. You see it from the side. That's a flared elbow. I'm good here. That's a flared elbow. That's not good here because then, again, I've put all this pressure up here in my chest. You can see my chest, the higher my chest is, right? I can't feel it. Now watch this. If I do this and flex, my elbows are flared, right? That pressure, I can feel there. Up here, you can see how much pressure there's not from my flaring my elbows too much, right? And that's the reason why I do that. So if you can flare your elbows, in short, if you can flare your elbows while keeping your shoulders depressed, good to go. If you can't, stick to the easy shit. I suck at pull-ups and can sometimes end up elbow tendonitis as a result. Do you suck at pull-ups because you can't like actually do the full pull-up? Like I'm talking like, you know, free weight pull-up, like your body weight, or do you suck at doing pull-ups because your form isn't good, but you can still get up? What does suck at pull-ups mean? I always think that I suck at exercise means that my form isn't that good or I'm not strong at it. So please let me know what you meant. Hey man, appreciate you, man. I thought I just wanted, I like being live, to be honest. And I used to coach all the time in person. Now I'm getting back to that again. So like this for me is like, you know, it's a very reciprocal thing, I would say. So appreciate you guys. I like push-pull legs. Yeah, I mean, I think doing that way, push-pull legs, rest, repeat is the most beneficial in terms of like giving your body the most amount of break, right? I did a video yesterday. I recorded one where someone gave me the idea of doing one on fitness acronyms, and I did. But there is a maximum adaptive volume that I broke down. And maximum adaptive volume is basically like the maximum amount of exercise you can do that will let your body adapt to the stimulus while, lowering the risk of being injured, overtraining, etc. And I find that doing like a push-pull legs rest, push-pull legs rest is a good place to be able to have that maximum adaptive volume where you can do the most amount of work and get the most out of it without overtraining by adding that little bit of rest in between your days, your 3 days. Oops. What should I do if my upper chest isn't growing? I'm 6'2". Okay, so my upper chest, love it, dude. My upper chest, okay, so this right here, this has been something I've been trying to grow since I started bodybuilding. Before I started bodybuilding, this didn't exist, right? What I've done is I no longer do flat bench anything. What I do is, and you can see actually, I'll show you. So I'll give you an idea. So right here, even in this on my flat bench from here, I've added a little bit of a incline. On this bench over here, this is flat right here, but this is now 15 degree. And I find that 15 degree incline is like your best bang for your buck. This now is my flat bench. Why? Because if you think about like flat, and again, you guys, it's not like you can truly isolate one part of your chest, but you can definitely load that part of your chest for it to grow because my chest has grown since I've been working on it. Again, genetics can be one thing, and then obviously consistency is the other thing. So I'm not genetically gifted to have a big pigeon chest. This is not in the cards for me. But I got sick work ethic, and I love delayed gratification. You can do that. You can grow your chest. But again, for me, if you think about flat bench, it's like flat here, right? 15 degrees, like this really nice sweet spot. Then like 30 degrees, like kind of up here. And then like a little 45 again in between, like, more of shoulder, your anterior delt, which is fine too. But I'm a 15 degree incline to a 30 degree incline. And then when I'm doing my shoulder day, I'm doing a 45 degree incline or even a higher incline to like basically, I'll do that. This to that will be my shoulder day. Why? Because for shoulders, it's like, when it comes to pressing movements, shoulders for me, pressing movements are going to be very, very high inclined and very anterior delt. The rest of my movements to get the rest of my shoulder to be, to grow, that's coming from your, lateral raises, your rear delts, upright rows, things like that. I'll add in for that. So when it comes for me to, for you, buddy, if you're trying to grow your chest, if you're really trying to get this part of your chest to grow, your shoulders and your chest day is always going to be in between this area here, right? And obviously you want to throw some like decline stuff in there, some dips and whatnot to keep things, honest. But that's how I've been training for years. I've been doing that for years, and it's helped me. And again, like I had to do that in order for me to place better as a bodybuilder. So hope that works out. Hey Johnny, when do you now? Hey Johnny, when do you? I'm gonna say row support machines. Why am I feeling it more in my shoulder and traps rather than easy? I'll show you exactly why. Super simple. Okay, and I'm training I just started training a new client, and he's older, in his 60s, and it's a very obvious thing that people do because again, it's very natural. It's not a natural thing for us to keep our shoulders down. Doing this when we're pulling isn't natural. Our bodies don't care to open a door with a depressed shoulder. They're not like sitting there like open the door and like lower your shoulder and move it. It's just like open the door. It's like this. And for the most part, that's what happens. So when we're on a machine, the reason why people feel in the shoulders in the machine is like a couple of things. Couple of mistakes that my client makes right away is sometimes holding it too high, and then we get this, right? You can see my posture. I don't know if you can see that good from that side. I'll give you a better view of what that looks like, but let's just do this. Yoink. So I want you guys to check out what I look like. Watch my show. I'm going to show you what it looks like properly. So if I want to feel my lats, again, when we're doing rowing, I want to be like this in the end. So when I'm rowing, right, wherever my feet are at, I'm here, right, whether if I'm going to be protracted and then finish retracted, or I'm already here, I want my row to go and finish here, right? You can see right now, my shoulders aren't doing anything, right? They're sitting here and they're sitting back, right? My traps aren't engaged, just my lats. What happens in most time when people do rows and they're like, oh my God, I feel my shoulder and my traps and my buys more than I should feel my back, is because number one, where they're holding the bar too high, and then we get a lot of this, right? You see my shoulder is, or they'll roll back too much and then my shoulder's anterior rotating. I'm getting this kind of thing, right? All I want is this to go like this, right? I don't want it to go like this and then this. And you can see that's what happens a lot. And if you can't activate your lats, and for the most part people can, this is gonna be very, very tough for some people to hear. I trained a guy a couple of months ago, and he's like, I can't feel my back. And I'm like, can you flare your lats? Can you do this? Can you do this, right? Doing this. And he's like, he's trying to do it and his traps are doing this. And so we did a couple things and you can start feeling his lats. If you can't feel your lats, if you can't activate your lats, it's something you need to really work on. What's going to happen is when we're pulling, we're going to pull with our biceps, right? We're going to pull with our shoulder, and we're going to pull with our traps, right? Fight or flight response is this, right? When I flight, it's our body protects itself. So when it's pulling something that, again, your body doesn't know it's in the gym. It might know that, it might just think it's falling off of a cliff somewhere and it's in danger and it's like, pull yourself together. So your body's going to find a way to pull the weight in, right? We want to make things more efficient. So when you're doing this, if anything, if you want to feel your lats on a row machine chest support, what I like to do is, again, this handle here, I'm going to take this handle, I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to try and pull it down, right? If you see me right now, I'm trying to pull it down, but I can't because my hand's attached to the handle. But just doing this and keep my chest up will make me feel, even though I'm here, I'm still trying to pull this down, right? And another thing to think about too is where else are you going to feel that activation when you're doing this? There's a lot of carryover on different muscles when we're in certain positions. So for me to depress my shoulder, right? To press my shoulder, my chest is going to feel it too. The intercostal head of my chest, because the intercostal head of my chest does shoulder extension. No matter what Mario Rios says, I had to say it, whatever, but it does. So for me to do shoulder extension, right, or depression, my chest has no say. It's going to activate to depress my shoulder, right? So when I pull, I know that if my lats are going to be activated, I'm going to feel my lats. I know that my shoulders got to be up, like my shoulders got to be down, chest up, my lower pec is going to be engaged, and then pulling that elbow down like this, that feeling is going to make my lats turn on. So if you can't flare lats right now, that's fine. What you can do is use the machine to help you get into place so you can feel your lats engaged. So right here, when you're pulling this, I'm trying to basically do this. I'm doing this. Like that's what I'm doing, right? But I'm not letting it go down. So doing that is making my lat work. And I'll let you guys see from the back what that looks like so you can actually get an idea. Yoink. My bad, sorry guys. So I'll show you. So right now, I'm holding the weight naturally right here. Now I'm trying to pull the handles down, almost like I'm trying to milk a cow, like really aggressively. So, I don't, shit. That's a couple of these cues, man. I'm trying to aggressively milk this cow with these handles. I'm gripping hard and I'm pulling this thing down. You can see the difference in what my lats do. So when I'm pulling, you can see my lats are engaged and I'm continuing that aggressive milking cow cue, Jesus, the entire time. So even here, I'm still pulling, right? This is relaxed. This is me pulling it down. Relaxed, milking the cow, not milking the cow, milking the cow, and I'm continuing that pull the entire time. So try that, and I hope that, see you guys, you got me making a new cue here. So I like coaching a person, because we can get these cues. Hi Jenna, what I'm doing, Cedar Rose machines, guy, we talk about that. Cool, all right, thank you for that. All right, elbows, L pain during pullover. L pains during pullovers, oh, cool. Watch how your arms are. When people do pullovers, big mistake is having a flexion in your elbows. So think about this, when you're doing pullovers, you want to have a slight internal rotation. Think of your elbows going to the side, because when they go to the side, they're not going to bend. Once they're underneath like this, once you're externally rotated from there, when you're back, you're going to get this little bit of a elbow extension and flexion, and that's when you start feeling the load onto your elbows. If you can have lats half the size, I would be happy. Amen. How long does it take? So how long does it take and what factors are necessary to progress from shredded lean physique to the iconic thick look? I am 23, appreciate your content. So how long does it take and what factors are necessary to progress from shredded lean physique to the iconic thick look? So I could say like from my experience with athletes, especially like coming off of say like a show, post show, it's, your body's in a place when it's super lean. Again, like when you think of your body as like this machine that's constantly trying to bring things back to homeostasis, like baseline, right? The body only wants to go to baseline, right? So when you get sick, your body is trying to get back to baseline healthy. When your body's tired, it's trying to get back to baseline. Everything your body is doing is trying to get to baseline. So when your body fat levels are at a like shredded, it shouldn't be there. Your body does not want to be shredded lean, because once you start getting shredded lean, what happens? There's less fat in our bodies. Hormone signals are off a little bit, right? So your body's trying to go back to baseline. So when it's trying to go back to baseline, it's consistently trying to go back to baseline. And baseline for me is around like 15% body fat. This is, for me right now, this is my body fat percentage, and I'm not doing any cardio. I'm just doing, I'm doing jiu-jitsu 4 days a week. In the last week, I've been doing 4 days a week. And anyone knows cardio for that is it's tough as hell. But this is my baseline. So let's just say I was 8% body fat. Getting myself up to this thick look is going to be a couple things. Number one, it's how I feel myself in terms of like that surplus or increasing calories. I'm going to increase calories in 2 ways. Number one, I'm going to increase my calories by, if my protein is a little low, I'm going to increase a little bit. I'll have just definitely 1 to 1 grams of protein, and I might push a little higher, right? Maybe 1.2 per body weight. Then I'm going to, for sure, when it comes to adding more calories, I'm going to increase my fats before I'm going to increase my carbs. Why? Because if we increase our carbs, every gram of carb you eat has 2 to 3 grams of water, right? Now I said a couple things before, like you won't really see physiological changes on certain foods you eat. When you eat carbs, there is that water, that subcutaneous water that comes with it. So if you're going to have, say you're eating 100 grams of carbs, that's 200 to 300 grams of water goes with it. So if I'm going to increase my calories so I can, have more fuel to build muscle without having that too much of a puffy look, like that water look, I'm going to increase my fats, because it allows me to add more calories and more fuel to build muscle. And then my carb intake doesn't have to be so high either. And I'm giving myself just enough carbs to fill my muscle with glycogen, to help with better overall muscle contractions, pumps and whatnot. And that's where I kind of like balance things out and do that slowly. So let's just say like you're eating 2,000 calories and you're peeled at 2,000 calories, right? Your maintenance is like you got down there and you drop down and shred is 2,000 calories. I'm gonna add 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter or almond butter or extra virgin olive oil. One tablespoon is around 90 to 100 calories per serving, right? So I can easily add 200 calories by just like a very small amount of food that again is going to be more satiating, right? Fats are going to take longer to digest. Fats with protein, the thermogenic effect of food is going to be more satiating, right? And then doing that and adding that little by little, and then throwing in a little bit more carbs as you go, but not too much. That's going to kind of give you that look. But at the same time, while going up there, that you want to keep your training very, very high volume, right? You want to like volumize the hell out of your muscle. So I'm talking like long, lengthy sets that are, you know, with a moderate weight that's going to really bring you to exhaustion, if that makes any sense. Pull-up tips. Okay, is it better to start legs with leg press and move on? So honestly, like the best thing to do is honestly, like it's yes, you can. And here's why I say yes. I like warming my body up with getting myself into like hamstring curls first. I love doing hamstring curls because I'm gonna basically like, you know, turn my body on, hamstrings are working, and then if I'm doing any kind of pressing movement, my hamstrings, they can be a little exhausted. But doing leg press, if you're starting off with a leg press and then just like, you know, warming up slowly, you know, going through your range of motion, your tempo, you can easily do that. If you're just gonna jump in with some heavy ass weight right away, I wouldn't recommend it. So you definitely can start anything you want, right? It doesn't matter how you start your workout, as long as there's some intention behind it that makes sense. It's gonna keep you away from either, you know, injury or, you know, that system to fatigue ratio, meaning if you're, you know, if leg press is your primary movement that you're trying to progress at, I would have that in the beginning of your training, rather than have that at the end after you've done leg extensions and squats or whatever, right? Pull-up tips. So number one for pull-up tips, we should be more specific with that, boss, but if you can't do a pull-up, my pull-up tip is gonna be do it assisted. And I showed you guys some different ways you could do assisted pull-ups. You can either wrap the bar, you know, if you're doing pull-ups, right, we can easily grab like something like this, right, put it in, and we can put this either, you know, on our knee or on our feet, right, like this, and putting both of them in, and then, you know, whatever handy you want to grab, we'll talk about that after. You could do it this way. You could also do it the way I'd done it before, where we have I'll set that up actually. Super simple, check this out, guys. So what I want to do is I want to put this like this. Oops, there we go. Let's go this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my hip if I want to do this easy for you guys. So, right, I'm going to measure how tall my hip is, right, from here, and then I'm going to put the rack right here by my hip. I'm gonna take the other side, same thing. Now I know where it's at. Put it at 12, and then I'm gonna wrap this guy around it like this, right? And then from there, I can, you know, stand on this, right? Now, I'll usually have something else, but I can stand on this from here, and then now I have, you know, a pretty good, you know, assisted machine that I've made from here. Now, when it comes to actually doing the pull-up, the biggest thing I find that to get people to really understand how to feel the pull right away is, I'll go this way, is that greet your chest to the bar cue, right? So regardless if I'm gonna pull like, say like, you know, neutral here. Now again, if you wanna make it easy for yourself, use a grip that's gonna be easier for you. Now what's gonna be super easy, again, like this is gonna be one of your easiest grips because you're gonna have, you know, you're gonna get some bicep and some brachyradialis in there to help with your pull. the further away you go from midline, the harder something's gonna be, right? So I can do pull-ups this way, right? Super simple from here. If I go wider, it's gonna be that much harder because again, I'm using less bicep, right? So for me, I'm gonna do pull-ups two ways. One, I like doing supinated pull-ups this way, semi-supinated. Number one, it's gonna be easier on my wrist. But again, when you're doing pull-ups, if I do this, hands like this, and I do this, I start supinating, you can see how it naturally starts pulling my shoulder down, right? My teres minor does help with shoulder external rotation. So by me being in a supinated position right away is already gonna put some tension onto my lats before I even start moving. So whether I'm like in a semi-supinated or supinated, number one, I'm gonna get a lot of bicep help, but I'm also gonna feel my lats right away. Now, when it comes to actually doing the pull, just so I can go this way so you guys can see. My chest, right? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pull my chest. I wanna pull my chest right up to the bar, right? I wanna almost like do an upside down, like a row. I wanna feel like I'm rowing my chest to the bar. That's gonna right away, I'm gonna feel my lats engaging right now when I try to pull my chest up like this, right? Just me doing this posture is already kind of depressing my shoulders. And when I'm depressing my shoulders and lengthening my hand and externally rotating, not only am I putting tension on my muscle right away, I'm in a overall better position for me to do a pull-up, chin up, whatever, and have my lats already engaged just by my posture. So just doing this, I'm already feeling my lats engaged. Sometimes out here, it's not as easy for people to feel their lats, right? So for me, it's gonna be like one of these things. I'm gonna be like this, either this or this, and here. So just do that yourself right now. And wherever you're at, put your hands up like this, overhead, and just start supinating. And you'll feel your lats, your arms naturally pulling down. So while you're doing that on the pull-up, you're starting to feel it right away. I get pins and needles in my arms when I rest them. And I know what's wrong. Circulation. For the most part, if someone's telling me they feel pins and needles in their arms or their shoulders, whatever, I'm always going to say and ask you the question, how much mobility are you doing? How much time are you putting away for mobility and flexibility? And I can promise you, for the most part, people do not prioritize. Like the fact, here's the thing, guys. Like, and it's not on you at all, right? This is very natural for everybody. The reason I know people are not doing mobility and flexibility like they should is because every time I do a live, no one's asking me, the questions about mobility and flexibility aren't there. They're always something like, I'm feeling my shoulders hurting, my elbows got this, my back's got that. And it's like, those things are the results of training and the lack of mobility and flexibility, right? And here's a really good example. My shoulder actually is pretty bum right now. It's not as bad. It's like, I would say right now, it's around 60%. If my shoulder wasn't as mobile as it is right now, this would be way worse. Like I wouldn't be able to tolerate doing this at all, right? There is an impingement here, so when I do external rotation, I can feel it right in my AC joint. I can feel it almost in my rotator a bit. But if I wasn't able to do, if my mobility wasn't where it is at right now, that would be way worse. So if you are having any questions, this is gonna be easy for you guys. Any questions you guys have, and you're like, Johnny, what I do about my wrist hurts, what I do about my elbow hurts, and what I do about my shoulder hurts. Number one, every 4 to 6 weeks, you should be booking yourself into massage therapy, deep tissue massage, something like that, whatever. On your own, you should be doing your own tissue work, whether you're rolling yourself out, whether you got like a lacrosse ball, or whatever. You should be doing that yourself to help mitigate the pain, or just to get yourself back to where your body needs to be. Because every time we work out, every single time, put it this way, guys, whenever we train, I stretch, right? We get that lengthened position. I'm stretching my muscle, but then I'm shortening it. there's a lengthening part of my lift, and there's a shortening part of my lift. And every time we train, even though we're lengthening it, we're still shortening it. And the muscles, they got those micro tears, but they're not micro tearing and staying in the stretch part of the lift. They're micro tearing and then they're getting shorter. So that's why you probably maybe feel kind of like this after you do chest. Like your chest feels like it's on fire or whatever. Or like when you do biceps, your arms kind of stay kind of like this a little bit, right? If we just let it naturally just go back to, baseline, where your body just like naturally kind of lets things go back, it doesn't go back to its original place. So it's on us to do what we can to make sure that we're stretching the muscle back, working the fascia, making sure that, put it this way, when your muscles are all jammed up and cramped up, think of like a traffic jam in a highway, right? The highway during the morning time, you can go to work easy, get there is fine. You leave at a certain time of the day, you're gonna be stuck in traffic. Think of you always having a traffic jam and the cars going to work being like blood vessels, right? And every time that you decide you're not gonna train muscles, it's basically in a city that's like always has crazy traffic, and then the amount of like traffic flow is always gonna be like jammed up. And you want that traffic flow to be fucking, fluent all the time. There's gonna be some times of the day where traffic's gonna be jammed. That's gonna be when you train. But then when you're done training, it's on you to start stretching mobility to make sure that traffic gets, lessened or decreased, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's my analogy. Lifelong headache patient here until a simple doctor lines in the head, but my neck working out helps until you get it. Ooh. Yeah, that's out of my scope. Like I said, again, look for, scapula, get some work done in your scaps and your traps. Most of the time when you get headaches, we're getting a lot of, tension from, bunched up muscle, short muscle from stress in our shoulders and our traps and our scaps. So get those things done. Some days I feel them, other days I don't. And I go parallel grip. Narrow and wide. So I would say like a lot of times, like I don't know when the last time I actually did a wide pull-up. I always go with the movements that I feel the most. Even though I can do wide pull-ups all day long, I feel like I get my best bang for my buck doing supinated. So anyone watching, don't feel like you have to do a certain exercise for the muscle to grow. Everything in this gym is a tool for a movement pattern, right? There's a chest machine. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. I'll say more shoulder, but like I have 3 machines that do chest, right? Whatever part I'm trying to load, it's a movement pattern. So I can do Smith machine all day long, or I can do my incline. I can do incline Smith machine, or I can do the incline machine. Is one better than the other? No. Am I gonna like one better than the other? Probably. I'm gonna do that one until the cows come home, and then when I get bored, then I'll switch up, right? So don't think you have to be married to a certain movement because somebody said that this is the movement you gotta do to build X, muscle group. Yes, I can. You asked that, Sean. I'll definitely do a home workout, and I'll do a proper home workout because people don't have, like, this is a home gym. Not many people have this. So I'll definitely do a PPL series that is, dumbbell and bench only type thing, right? If that helps out. For sure I will. Appreciate you, man. Thanks, Dana. What are your best cues for using a pec deck machine? Let me know what you're doing. So for me, a pec deck is doing pec deck or cable flies is basically doing exactly what the chest is intended to do, just shoulder adduction. My biggest thing when it comes to cues for pec is, again, like it's where I have where I'm holding the bar for the most part, right? I like when I hold it, I'm not necessarily like gripping anything, more so than I like. Here's a good way to do this. All right. So there's a bar right here. You go. So here's a bar, right? And here's basically where the end of this lift is gonna be. So my hand here, right? I'm gonna press, right, with that. That little bit of tension is all it needs. I'm not flex. This is me flexing my chest. This is me adducting my chest. Flexing and adducting are the same thing. So I want to cause that adduction from the tension I'm causing from my hand on the bar, which would be like, say, like this is the actual handle. So when I do this, I already feel tension. Now, I'm gonna do the same thing this way. Now, if I'm at the lengthened contraction, right? I'm gonna be a little bit bend this way, like there's a bend in my elbow, I'm like this, right? And I'm gonna take that same part of my hand and cause tension from here, right? This is where I feel the most of tension. It's from the starting position and then finishing off from here. When I finish doing a press, pec deck, I'm finishing pushing back, not like this. So when you're doing pec deck, you're here and then it's to here pushing yourself back into the bench. If you don't feel it as much, you're probably kind of doing this and then you're rolling your back. And this means we're not getting full adduction in our shoulder. Yeah, we're still like adducting, but this is where we get everything, not this. So if you think about like, take a hand like this and push this part of your hand together like this. Just do this. And that's how you should, that's the pressure you should feel coming all the way back and then straightening up and pushing here, if that helps. Try that. I'm trying to make 2 days whole body workout, but I'm struggling with hitting all the muscle groups. That's very hard to do in 2 days. It's a big day. You can hit the entire body. You can do the entire muscle group body with just 2 days. You can, right? If you take like one exercise, if we start like say floor to core, or even start from the top, right? You can do like say like a pull, and then you do a push, and then you can do another pull on the way down, and then you do another push with like triceps, and then you can do a leg extension, or if anything, do like I would say take like multi-joint movements to really work everything at once. So if you take like a hip and knee flexion movement, say you're doing squats or lunges, you're gonna get glutes and hamstrings in one. If you do Romanian deadlifts, you're gonna get your hamstrings, right? So you have squats, Romanian deadlifts, you already finished your legs. Calves too, all right, cool, right? And then you take like a pull-up and then a press, and you're fine, and then you do a bicep and a tricep, right? Then the next day you do the similar thing, but then the next day you might do more accessory stuff, right? So whatever you didn't finish on this day, the next day you do, say like rear delt something or other. You do like more of a flatter press movement. You do maybe a row movement instead of doing a high row or high pull. Instead of doing like squats, maybe you're gonna do, you can switch between squats and lunges. Or if you do a machine, maybe instead of doing squats, next day you're doing maybe leg press instead. And then instead of doing RDLs, maybe doing hamstring curls or any kind of movement like that. If that makes sense. My client just said what's up, he's watching. What's up, man? Appreciate you, man. Do I actually hate Coach Craig? Man, okay, so let's just make this so clear. And I'm gonna say this to you guys so everybody hears, okay? I do not hate Coach Craig whatsoever. In fact, I still love Coach Craig. That is a person that I am always going to care about. I don't care, like this is how I was raised, right? I don't care what kind of tiff that I get in with anybody. If I have built a foundation with somebody, a friendship, I don't care how rocky it gets. I'm never like, I measure things out. I weigh things out. It's very easy for me. I known Greg for 10 years. We were best friends for that long. If out of those years that I knew him, there's only 2 of those years that are bad, my head can't wrap itself away from forgetting the good things over the bad things. That's how I work. So I don't hate Greg at all, like at all. I don't hate anybody regardless. This is not me regardless. But for me, just me saying I don't hate anybody and being like, that's just very small. For me, I cannot hate Greg. All right. I was talking to Greg's brother yesterday. And he knows like I'm always looking out for his best interest. I always care about that dude. I'm always going to care about him. I'm happy as fuck that he's succeeding. If you guys know our history or just know my past, what we're doing right now is something that we've actually sought out to do 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like this is like what we're doing right now is actually we literally manifested what we're doing right now. And he was able to get to where he's at, and I'm very, very happy for him. Like I don't care how he spends his money or how he got to his money or how he got to where he is. He's inspiring to me still, right? That is something I'll always look at. There's still, some jewels that he's shown me, that we've shown each other, that I still take to today. So yeah, I do not hate Coach Greg, just so you know. So anyway, when will you be soon? Actually, very, very soon. I'm working on that right now. It's why I've been really, really busy. There'll be a new program coming out very soon. Working on that. I'm working on another ebook as well too. I can't tell you exactly what it's called yet because I'm going to take my idea because it's really dope. But while supersets, such face pulls and bent over flies, I tend to lose count when I'm doing my reps. So one thing you can do, don't count reps. Don't, literally, give yourself a timer and put a timer up from maybe a 30, it's 45 seconds. And have your max time at 45 seconds. And then do as many reps as you can between there. And that's going to give you where you should probably be. Because again, I got a video coming out about that too. Reps are good to track for sure. They're measurables. But I look at reps as that's only one part of the equation. It's the total time under tension. So one rep for me means it could be a 2 second negative, 1 second positive, 1 second concentric, whatever, or eccentric. That's a 4 second rep, right? So I'm doing 10 reps, that's 40 seconds. So start really thinking about reps as only one part of the equation. A rep is I would say, if anyone knows music, think of a rep as a measure, right? You have 10 measures and each measure has a beat, and maybe that beat's gonna be 4, right? For each rep, it's 4 seconds, right? So start thinking about that more so than thinking just reps. And guys, I'm gonna get off here I'm gonna give you 10 more minutes, because I gotta film and I gotta bring my kid to piano, but we'll do 10 more minutes because I wanna get these. Sorry guys, I gotta go all the way to the bottom again. Someone jumped in here. Message retracted. Sorry guys, I gotta go all the way to the bottom. Okay, cool. I'm a new lifter and I fear deadlifts, minor injury. Should I slowly bring them back into my routine or entirely replace them? You don't have to do deadlifts. You can go your entire life not do one deadlift and have a completely well-rounded physique without worrying about kind of injury or whatnot. One thing you have to understand is when you're doing hinging movements, and I do this a lot with my older clientele. For me, hinging movements or squatting movements are for you to continue to be strong in that position. So when you're older, you're I know a lot of you guys are not thinking about, getting older, but when I think about loading my spine or doing a squat, I'm not thinking about doing a PR anymore. I'm thinking about just making sure that my body's strong. So when I get older, I can sit down, stand up with no problem. But surely, simply just having a deadlift in your programming for the sake of having deadlift in your program, I find isn't necessary. Now, if deadlifts is something that you really love to do, you can use deadlifts as a more for hypertrophy than strength. And that just means having, doing a load that isn't, that's I would say more the 60% of your 1 rep max, right? So keep deadlifts in your plan, but don't think you have to load deadlifts. I would say take your deadlifts and make those something that your sets are longer, so you can use that more for hypertrophy, more so than like those, shorter end of like the smaller rep ranges than you're, using heavier weight. So, but again, if you're having issues with your back, your lower back or whatever, I would say stay away from them until your body's fine, or do something like rack pulls, do deadlifts when they're raised up a little bit, give you a little more, less stress on your back. But yeah, hope that answers your question, buddy. And like that question. Ooh, I like it. There you go. I liked it. Isn't training time and attention is some kind of training till failure? So I'm glad you said that. Good question. So time and attention will bring you to failure. Training for time and attention doesn't mean failure. But there has been studies that are out. I think Mike just brought one up. I dove into it. So when you're looking at like an RPE of like 7 or 8, or like reps in reserve of like 2 to 3, that is actually just as good as training to failure, right? So the studies have now shown that if you're leaving like 2 to 3 reps left in the tank, you're basically what it's saying is your body is basically responding the same way as if you train to failure. So it kind of gives you more reason to, like, you don't have to train to failure. But again, I always insist that you train to failure a couple times. And here's why. If I train to failure, like true failure in terms of like technical failure, I can't get another rep off my chest. I go through that process. I know what it feels like to try as hard as I possibly can and not be able to do a rep. That is true failure. Now, from then, I can actually gauge what 2 to 3 reps in reserve feels like, or what a 6, 7, 8, or 9, or 10 RPE feels like. If I don't know what failure feels like, how can I say that, when it comes to the studies that we're just talking about, how do I know that I'm actually 2 to 3 reps from failure if I've never been to failure before? So that's the only reason why I say, like, it's good to go to failure here and there to actually kind of get yourself, accustomed to knowing what it feels like, and then, you can really gauge what it's like being there. So if you can say, hey, I'm 2 to 3 reps from what I know is failure, then we know that 2 to 3 reps is just as good as going to failure. Big question here. Appreciate you. Can you answer Jared's question, Johnny? Do you plan on redacting your short of Jeff Cavalier's 90 pound dumbbells? He lifted 90 pounds in a commercial 90 pounds. Okay, so how do you know that it's 90 pounds? So, and I get what you're saying. So for me to redact what I said, that would mean I would have to actually have proof that they're 90 pound dumbbells. Now let me show you something. Now put it this way. Jeff Cavalier is not going to waste his time and take a dumbbell that he had a few years ago, because I think it's a couple years ago I made the video, and take that dumbbell and put it onto a scale and weigh it. I know damn well he's not going to do it. He's got way too much time to do that. But the reason why I made that video was, number one, around that time he was caught for lifting fake weights. And then he did another exercise where he tried to say, like, I didn't do fake weight, and then did a deadlift, and his deadlift was completely off. Whereas the deadlift he did before was absolutely, he just did a deadlift and it was like, bam, it looked really good. And then people were like, that's actually fake. And then he was like, and then he went and did it again, and you saw how much he struggled for it, all right? Reason why I said that looks like it's fake is because I'm strong. Right? And look, I'm giving you time for this question because I know that everyone's going to say, like, whatever. I'm very strong, right? Where is my strength right now? Nowhere near where it was when I did that video. That video is actually almost 3 years old. So, wow. Good for you for asking this. So I'm going to give you an idea. When somebody says they're lifting 100 pounds and their setup is ease, and I know that I am 100% way stronger than that person, and I pick up a dumbbell, and I know how much it feels to pick up a dumbbell, I am 100% going to be a skeptic to someone who is, at that time, probably 100 pounds smaller than me. Now, is Jeff Cavalier a powerlifter? He is not. If he was a powerlifter, if Jeff Cavalier was Greg Doucette, I'd be like, that's 100% 90 pounds. Because I remember training with Greg, and Greg annihilated me when it came to chest because Greg Doucette is a world-class powerlifter. So 100%, Greg can pick up 90-pound dumbbells kind of with ease and press them, right? Is Jeff Cavalier doing that? 100%, I'm going to be a skeptic. I'm going to be a skeptic when it comes to someone who is 100 pounds smaller than me, already got caught lying about fake weights, and then is easily lifting 90-pound dumbbells. That's 180 pounds of weight, and he probably weighs 180 pounds, right? Now, let me show you guys something. This is these are 100 pounds. So the other one is 90 pounds less, okay? So this is 100 pounds, right? For me to set up for doing this, and I made the point too in the other video. I was like, all right, here, I got it. I got 90 pounds, right? Let me just, this is, 10 pounds isn't gonna make that big of a difference, but this is me with 100 pounds, right? And now I'm actually smaller than I was before, all right? You guys remember this video? This guy lifted these things with ease. This is me without warming up, trying to press, right? He was doing this fairly simple, right? So there's a reason why I was a skeptic when it came to him lifting that weight, right? Now, the only way I'll redact my statement is which is going to be completely and utterly impossible for him to take those 90 pounds that he did before, put them on a scale, and then rep it out. Now, if he goes and takes 90 pounds and in front is like, Johnny, here's 90 pounds, weighs him, his boy weighs him too, and he reps it out, I will be like, foot in my mouth, I was wrong, I am very sorry for saying that you did not lift 90 pounds. But until then, I can't redact it because, again, for the reasons I said, there's a reason why I did that. So hope that answers your question. Hey, Johnny, how do you know if I'm at a muscular limit for my body? Been working out for 8 years, 5'11". Okay, so here's a couple things you can look at. How I asked a question earlier to a friend of mine, actually. Actually, not a friend, I had a console call. How long have you been consistently training? This is for everybody, right? How long have you been consistently training, trying to put on muscle? Meaning, like, if you're like, hey, man, I only started working out 5 years ago, and, I just, started training, whatever, for 2 years, right? If you've been able to, I would say you've been training for 8 years. So I would say, buddy, in those 8 years, how many of those 8 years were you consistently training with the strong enough stimulus, which I guarantee you probably were, right? Again, because if you're training regardless and doing something that's at least like 50% of your warm rep max, you're definitely going to elicit muscle growth regardless. But training consistently, eating enough protein consistently, eating enough calories consistently, drinking enough water consistently, and sleeping consistently, like recovery-wise. How long have you been doing those 5 things consistently while tracking your actual muscle gain? Now, if let's just say in the years you've been training, you have been doing those for 5 years. Let's say you're doing it for 5 years straight, and you started at a lean 190. And now you're a lean 180, and now you're a lean 192 in 5 years. I would say that if you're, say parent-wise too, like genetic-wise, I would say that you're probably close to what your body is in terms of like its limits. But if you haven't been doing those things consistently for that long, I would say that you haven't been doing it long enough for you to tell if you've been putting on enough muscle or if you're coming to your limit. So that would be like my best way to explain that, would be to, again, like how much have you actually grown the time you started training, right? And how much like actual lean muscle tissue can you but can you assume or estimate that you've gained? If you've been training for X amount of years and you went from let's just say before you're 160, I would say you're getting really close, right? If you're a good conditioned 192, you know what I mean? Not like I'm not saying you have to be like Peel, but let's just say like my conditioning, I would say like, 15% body fat or whatever, right? And you can actually tell muscle gain. So I would say that. That'd be your best bet. And again, like think about too, like in the last year, how much muscle have you put on the last year, right? That would be, give me some more, I would say, info, and I'll give you that though. Do I think 500 milligrams of test is a good starter cycle? I think it's more than enough, a lot. I think you can do 250. If it's not TRT, not from your doctor, I would say that 500 milligrams. I would say that if you're not competing and you're just, for your own, just I want to look good or whatever, I would say like doing anything more than $150 is not necessary. I would say that 250 would be like me going back in time now. I would say that if someone's going to start, 250 would be it'd be more than enough. I've seen blood work upon blood work upon blood work from clients whose doctors had them on TRT, and I've seen what 50 to what 150 milligrams does to somebody's testosterone. I've seen 50, I've seen 100 put their test at the top. So if you're doing like 200, you're doing 100 times more than what a doctor is prescribing, and what a doctor would prescribe would put them in that very higher range of your test level. So I would say start off slow. It's easier to start off slower and increase than it is to go higher than have to go back. Oops. All right. I ask one more question. We go a question down here. Sorry, buddy. Jeremiah, I gotta answer your question, buddy. What does a calorie counter tell me to have a lot of more calories than I would think I actually need if I'm trying to lose weight? Calorie counters out. Fasting makes it that much hard to follow. So calorie counters aren't that accurate. Calorie counters, depending on what one you're using, like from whatever, again, whatever platform, whatever calorie app it is, it's going by a general equation, right? So for me, if I just put my weight in, if I was like, hey, I want to lose weight, and I put in, I'm 5'8" and I'm 215 pounds and I'm 40 years old, that calorie calculator is going to be like, oh, you're obese. And it's going to tell me something extreme. Or if it has those little drop down menus where it's I train between 1 to 2 times, or extreme, blah, blah, blah. It's always taking an estimate. So a really easy one to do, very, very easy equation to give you guys this. It's basically what the dietitians do. It's a 10, 13, 15 rule, okay? 15 times your body weight would give you maintenance. Give it a try. Literally put your body weight times 15, that will give you maintenance. And if you use any kind of calorie calculator, it might be very close. I'm pretty sure the 15 times your body weight would be a little bit less. 13 times your body weight is an extreme deficit, and then 10 times your body weight is a very extreme deficit, and you don't ever want to go less than 10 times your body weight in calories. Because at that point, it's hard for you to get the right amount of macronutrient breakdown for your body to be optimal at that caloric intake, right? So anything lower than 10%, 10 times your body weight in calories is going to be pretty hard for you to kind of give yourself enough protein, enough fat, enough carbs for your body to run optimally. So that would be your best thing to do, I would say. So if you're trying to, are you trying to lose weight? Yeah, so if you're trying to lose weight, easiest thing to do, for all you guys that are watching right now, if you're trying to lose weight and if you don't really trust calorie calculators, and I really don't either, what you do is, like I said, 15 times your body weight in calories. All right. Now, number one, has your body weight stalled? If your body weight has stalled and you haven't been tracking your calories and your body weight isn't going anywhere, track the food you're eating for the next few days. Don't add anything, don't change anything at all. Just do that. And that's going to give you, your maintenance. Once you have your maintenance, then you can subtract from your food. Or let's just say that you found your maintenance and you're not doing any cardio at all, but you're still training a lot. I would say add cardio before taking away food, because taking away food is just taking away fuel. The less food you have, the less energy you have to put out when you're doing your cardio. So like if I'm eating way less food, I'm trying to do cardio, my cardio output in terms of like calories burned or wattages is going to be very, very low, right? So if your weight has not gone anywhere and you have been tracking, do that. Track your food for the next couple, few days, and that'll kind of give you the amount of calories for maintenance. Now, let's just say that your body weight's been doing up and down, whatever it is. You have no clue what's going on. It's been up and down and whatever. Then 15 times your body weight in calories and eat that amount for a week. If you see your body fat or your body weight stall, then we know it's at maintenance. If we see that it's going up, then we know that it's probably in a surplus a bit, it's a little off. So we can shave off like 250 calories and then do that for another week and then see if your body weight stalls. Once your body weight stalls from the food you're eating, we found maintenance, and then from there we can adjust our calories in terms of like decreasing calories, being in a deficit, or being in a deficit by increasing our activity level. And that's going to be your best bet to do that way. That's the best way I like doing it, because it's a little more accurate, and it's like a little easier. Plus, that approach gives you a lot more understanding of like how your body works. It kind of gives you more, awareness of like, okay, now that I'm actually tracking my food and like, and I know that 50 times my body weight and all the things that I'm doing, and now the food that I'm eating is actually stalling my weight, there's more awareness for you there. And there's more, I would say like, there's more like, I would say empowerment there, right? The more you can control this, I think the coolest thing about this entire journey is that we have control. You know what I mean? Like for me, leaving the body, not leaving bodybuilding, but like, being a bodybuilder and then leaving with those skills, I can change. I have the will and the, ability to change my physique whenever I want. If I'm like, hey man, I want to put on more muscle, I know how to. If I'm like, hey, I want to look good for a photo shoot and I want to lose a little bit of weight, or I'm going on vacation somewhere, I want to be a little more chilled or whatever it is, I know how to do it. And I also know how to stay within striking distance of, what my body needs and what my body can actually do. So I think just doing that, trying that out, guys. And for my people up there who asked me to redact my statement, I appreciate the hell out of you guys for being, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you gotta be able to put out, and you gotta be able to, take it in, man. So I appreciate you guys, really calling me out and getting me to, give my reasons, and honestly, for my reasons. So I appreciate you guys coming on here and, sharing your time with me. And I'm gonna do this again. Next week I'm gonna be home for March break with my daughter. So I might not do this, but I will definitely do this more in gym. And I went for an hour, and dang. All right, make sure I got any more questions here before I blow it. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you guys. If there's anything you guys want me to touch that I haven't touched at all, that sounds pause. If there's anything you want me to, any topic you want me to talk about or whatever it is, guys, let me know in the comment section below. Put all your comments there. Good comments, bad comments. If you didn't like the way this went, or anyway, I listen to you guys. I want to make this more, optimal for you guys. Thanks for everything. I got shoulder pains too, man. Appreciate you guys. Anyway, till next time, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, you guys keep dream chasing. Peace.